Y'all making up like I just went in there and shot this girl.
I want you to step off my case because you've been compromised. I'm done.
The state of Florida has filed a notice of its intention to seek death in both cases.
I ran back out and I'm just sitting in the car and all hell broke loose.
Everybody inside's like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
Police say he is violent.
People are nervous. Mainly people scared.
He's a danger to the community.
This appears to be someone that doesn't have anything to lose at this point.
Pine Hills, Orlando, Florida, 9:15 p.m. A knock on the door. Saad Dixon answers. 24 years old, mother of 2, 3 months pregnant with her 3rd child. In that moment,
it's an area that maybe has seen some crime, but there's crime everywhere. The socioeconomic goes from folks who are poor to those who are retirees who may have a little bit more money.
She has no idea her life is about to end. Markeith Lloyd stands on the other side of that door. He pulls a gun and fires. 8 shots. The gunshots echo through the neighborhood. Neighbors will hear approximately 10 rounds total.
Dixon was very ambitious.
My daughter was a very strong, positive woman that wanted to succeed. She wanted to retire us.
She was trying to get her real estate license, and she was either received it or was in the process of making sure that she got that. 2 children, ages 2 and ages 8.
Saad Dixon collapses, but the violence doesn't stop there. Her 26-year-old brother, Ronald Stewart, hears the chaos. He runs to help his sister. Lloyd turns a weapon on him too. Stewart is shot but survives. Saad Dixon doesn't. She's pronounced dead, along with her unborn baby.
I still got blood on me. I haven't taken a shower.
Ronald Stewart, he suffered gunshot wounds.
He just wanted to protect his sister.
He did survive his wounds. She did not survive her wounds. She died, and so did an unborn child.
Any victim of crime, they become a statistic and we forget the humanity behind that person. This is a tremendous loss.
The killer disappears into the night.
This is not unlike any place else. When you have a murder and you need information, people are afraid to talk, and they don't want to talk to law enforcement. You've heard the old adage, and it still rings true today, snitches get stitches. They put out bulletins, be on the lookout for Markeith Lloyd.
The community was very concerned. I mean, everybody was on the lookout for him after he killed Sade Dixon. People wanted him apprehended. His reign of terror, so to speak, being a fugitive, impacted everyone.
But this is where the story takes an even darker turn. 1 month later, January 9th, 2017, 7:15 a.m., a Walmart on John Young Parkway. A tipster spots someone suspicious, dressed in black, wearing camouflage pants, a fake security shirt, and a bulletproof vest. The tipster calls it in. Orlando Police Lieutenant Deborah Clayton responds. Clayton approaches. Lloyd draws his gun. 3 shots fired at the officer. Clayton returns fire. 7 shots. Lloyd keeps shooting. He circles behind her as she falls to the pavement. Hip, shattered hip bone, thigh, then the fatal shot. A bullet straight through her neck. Lieutenant Deborah Clayton is pronounced dead at 7:40 a.m. Same killer, same gun. 2 murders 1 month apart.
I watched Officer Deborah walk towards the store. As she was walking, she called for backup. I stood up, and all of a sudden I see Markeith Lloyd. He runs around one of the Walmart posts, big old posts, and I see him pull his gun out. And they're both like neck and neck. They're shooting at each other.
There became at some point like a gun battle between the 2 of them.
I'm standing there watching Officer Deborah and Markeith Lloyd shoot at each other. And I saw Miss Deborah fall, and he just kept shooting her while she was on the ground.
But here's what matters. This isn't just a story about violence. This is a story about what happens when a system fails, when warning signs are ignored, when abusers are allowed to walk free.
I regret to inform our community that one of our heroes in blue was shot and killed in the line of duty this morning. It is with a very heavy heart on Law Enforcement Appreciation Day that I announce that Master Sergeant Deborah Clayton, a 17-year veteran of the Orlando Police Department, lost her life today at approximately 0740 hours.
The last word she heard from me was Jesus.
When one man's rage destroys an entire community, Markeith Lloyd had been arrested 20 times. 20 arrests, convictions for serious crimes. He was known to be dangerous, and he was still out there. Saad Dixon had reported his abuse. She tried to protect herself. She tried to protect her children. It wasn't enough. What happened next would send Orlando into a state of panic. A 9-day manhunt, a $125,000 reward, more than 1,400 tips flooding in, and another officer losing his life in the search.
We're told hundreds are working this case. The manhunt is still very much on.
It doesn't matter where he goes. We will track him down to the ends of the earth. Trust me on that. Anytime a person guns down a law enforcement officer in broad daylight, the way that Markeith Lloyd did, we're going to use all the resources possible because we know how dangerous that person is.
People were really afraid. You know, when you have someone who's that violent, who has no problem killing a police officer, who everyone knows has weapons on them, and they don't know where he is, there was a level of terror in this community before he was apprehended.
We don't want this to happen again. We've already had a mother and her unborn child killed. And at this point, you know, police and law enforcement were telling folks to be observant. There were even at points where schools were on lockdown as the search was going on.
There are hundreds of officers, deputies working around the clock. There are teams of detectives assigned just to following up leads to catch Markeith Lloyd. We will not stop until we find him.
They also brought in different agencies. The U.S. Marshal's Office was part of this manhunt for him. Basically just told people, you know, don't approach. He could be dangerous. He is dangerous. And if you have seen him, let us know.
We have taken more than 300 tips since yesterday morning.
300 tips in one day to a crime line agency which normally gets 1,000 calls in a month.
With questions swirling about why Markeith Lloyd, a murder suspect already prior to Monday's killing, wasn't already in jail.
He has been able to avoid capture. He's not going to be able to do that for much longer.
A lot of times we rely on tips and information from our community, but there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that our community may not see, but we never stop looking for murder suspects, never.
This is a story of how one man's violence spiraled into a tragedy that changed an entire city. Stay with us, because the details matter, the victims matter, and the truth, the real documented truth of what happened, matters.
She said that she could see a tear coming from Lieutenant Clayton's face and that she was trying to gesture and that she was trying to tell her something, but she just couldn't get it out.
That's all I said to her, Jesus, until she stopped breathing.
There was such an outpouring of support because she was such a standout in the community when it comes to youth.
She was special. She always positive. I never, ever heard her say a negative thing.
She wanted people to learn and get educated on how to do the right thing and make better choices in life.
There was a vigil that night, a community vigil. And I'll never forget the feeling of solidarity and community and love that was there that night. She would have loved to have seen that.
At her funeral. Then Orlando Police Chief John Mina said, for all the work that you do, I'm going to posthumously upgrade you to lieutenant. And that's what we've called her ever since, lieutenant. So that was really a great gesture just to show, even in her death, the difference that she's made in the communities here in Central Florida.
May God guide us swiftly and safely, capture the evil man responsible for Deborah's death.
They ended up finding him at an abandoned home in the Carver Shores area.
This witness, who asked us not to show her face, says she saw Lloyd throw down 2 guns.
They told him to lay down. He laid down, and he crawled to the road, and that's when they hog-tied him and drug him between 2 vehicles.
I got a call from the chief, and let's just say I was happy that he got taken in, and I turned on the news. It was all over the news here because it was a big story.
It is the news, Orlando, and all of Orange County has waited days to hear. Keith Lloyd has been arrested.
One of the officers called me and said, I got him.
It's a burden off our families. No more wondering if this guy's ever going to show back up. It's a big relief for everybody.
What type of penalty do you want?
Death penalty.
The family can start healing now. This was a community and law enforcement effort, and I'm forever grateful.
Pain that has already been caused by Mr. Lloyd, and I think there's a lot of unanswered questions that we need answers to.
Y'all making up like I just went in there and shot this girl.
I want you to step on my kitchen because you've been compromised. I'm done.
The state of Florida has filed a notice of its intention to seek death in both cases.
There were a lot of hearings as it related to the mental capability of Markeith Lloyd.
How do you plead to those charges, sir?
For the record, I want to state that I am Markeith Lloyd, a flesh and blood human being. I am not a fictitious person. I am not a corporation.
Lawton then entered a not guilty plea on behalf of Lloyd.
I think it's a bit of a close call, but I think Mr. Lloyd is competent to make the decision.
Justice is going to prevail. I believe in the justice system, and I'm excited for him to stand trial.
He's trying to keep her, her fresh in people's minds and let our daughter know that we love her and she's going to live forever through us.
My goal is to talk to her, just explain myself so she won't be so mad. And if she want to get back together, I would.
When Dixon found out that Lloyd had been with another woman, Lloyd's defense claims she antagonized him.
And she wasn't saying nice things. She was saying, you're never going to see this baby.
There are men who just can't handle a relationship ending, and they will kill a woman in the process.
But prosecutors pointed out that Dixon was shot 8 times and said after shooting Stewart the first time, Lloyd stood over him and shot him again.
The number of shots fired showed that the defendant wasn't there to protect himself. He was shooting over and over again at her to try to kill her.
We, the jury, find as follows. As to count 1 of the charge, the defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. We are exhaling. Our case is closed. No more court, no more going back.
I'm happy that the family has begun to get some justice in this case. It's been so long for them. It's important for all the family and the friends that are involved in this, law enforcement. We want closure too.
You could have turned yourself in peacefully right there, right?
Why would I turn myself in?
Are there any circumstances under which Markeith Lloyd would have let Deborah Clayton live that day?
She wouldn't want me to harbor any hate because, one of the things we'll talk about is not giving that person that much power where it will destroy us as well on the inside.
It was also bittersweet. I mean, they made their decision, and I have to live with whatever they would have came back with. So, I mean, in all, it's not going to bring Deborah back.
Time heals all wounds. We're not going to say that I'm not still suffering. I'm not still going through it. My family is still suffering. We're still processing the healing process. Every day is a trial and a tribulation.
We've walked through this case together. We've seen the facts. We've heard from the people who lived through this horror. Now it's time to sit with what this story really means. Saad Dixon was 24 years old. She was a mother. She was about to become a mother again. Her parents describe her as phenomenal, strong-minded, and unique. She had a life ahead of her. She had dreams for her children. She had plans. All of that was taken from her in seconds. Her brother, Ronald Stewart, survived that night, but he carries the trauma of hearing those gunshots, of trying to help his sister, of living in a world where she no longer exists. Her parents, Stephanie Dixon Daniels and Ron Dixon, held a news conference after her death. They were grieving. They were angry. They were calling for an end to violence. They were asking for the man who did this to turn himself in. They never got to hold their grandchild. And then there's Lieutenant Deborah Clayton. She was doing her job. A tipster called an information about a suspicious person at a Walmart. Clayton responded. That's what heroes do. They show up. They put themselves in danger so the rest of us can be safe. But on January 9th, 2017, that cost her everything. Clayton fired 7 shots at Markeith Lloyd. She did everything right. She followed her training. She fought back, and it still wasn't enough. Lloyd fired 4 bullets into her body. The 4th one was the fatal shot, fired while he stood over her after she'd already fallen. She was pronounced dead at 7:40 a.m. Later, she was posthumously promoted from sergeant to lieutenant. It was an honor, but it didn't bring her home. On October 16th, 2019, a jury found Markeith Lloyd guilty of murdering Saad Dixon. They deliberated for less than 6 hours. Days later, they unanimously recommended life in prison. On November 2021, he was found guilty of murdering Lieutenant Deborah Clayton. On December 2021, the jury unanimously recommended death. On March 2022, he was sentenced to death. He now sits on death row at Union Correctional Institution. Justice came. Not quickly enough. Not in a way that brings anyone back. But it came. First, domestic violence is a serious warning sign. It doesn't stay the same. It escalates. If you're in a relationship with someone who has hurt you, physically, emotionally, or verbally, that's a sign of danger ahead. Get help. Reach out. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Your life matters. Second, if you see warning signs in someone else's relationship, speak up. Don't look away. A tipster at that Walmart recognized something was wrong and reported it. That action mattered. Third, respect law enforcement. Officers like Lieutenant Deborah Clayton put on a uniform knowing they might not come home. She showed up. She did her job. She paid the ultimate price. This case is real. These weren't characters in a movie. These were real people with real families. Saad Dixon's children grow up without a mother. Her unborn baby was never born. Lieutenant Clayton's family grieves every single day. We tell these stories not to sensationalize tragedy. We tell them to honor the victims. We tell them to learn from failures. We tell them to push for change. And we tell them so the world doesn't forget. If you're watching this and you're in danger, if you're being hurt, if you're afraid, if someone is threatening you, reach out. Call 1-800-799-7233. You don't have to live in fear. Rest in peace, Saad Dixon. Rest in peace, Lieutenant Deborah Clayton. Your lives mattered. Your stories matter. And we will remember